Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And I wanted to go into this article real briefly, interesting one that I was just reading. And this is from ZeroHedge.com. The headline reads, "Here's why these troubling trends mean mass chaos is likely coming to the West." And at this point, this shouldn't be shocking news, as it's already expected. I mean, based on the things I'm going to read in here, this is coming from the probability of this person here who wrote, the author of this article, being an Israelite. When I say that, I mean like one that is like in this ministry of ours, is probably little to none, right? Meaning this person is like an average individual, right? And to hear the way that they are thinking and the way that they are speaking and the things that they are aware of, it goes to show you that back a decade or two ago, these weren't things that regular individuals knew. These were things that if you mentioned, only somebody that had done research or had really dug deep to know about these things would be able to understand what you're saying. And the majority of the population would just think you're crazy, or you're a conspiracy theorist, or you're just doing too much. But now you have even average individuals, right, common folks, that are talking about these things and are aware to a degree as to what's happening in the world. Okay, and that number is increasing more and more as time goes on. So what do you think these elites are going to have to do, knowing that the time of their deception is wearing off and the people are waking up and the people are aware of who the culprit is? Typically in situations like that, if they don't do something major and they don't do it soon, now their head is on the swivel or their head is on the line, and people, that's when you have those revolts, and it doesn't really end too well for them. So the scriptures tell us, right, in Revelation 12:12, that they're going to come down with great wrath because they know they have but a short time. And indeed, they have a short time. But let's read this article here, because something that I always mention is, with all the things that are going on in the world today, it's you can get a better sense of it when you read it in a compilation, right? Meaning that when somebody compiles a list or a series of all these different events that are happening all around the world, and they put it together in an article or in a video, that's when you really get the full picture as to what's really going on. Because sometimes when you watch a news video, or you read one article here and another one there, you're like, damn, things are happening. But it isn't until you see it all together that you realize, like, yeah, things are like happening. All right. So it says here, coming from the murky island of Britain, and this is I'm going to describe it, right, because I'm recording this as an audio, but this is a still shot of a headline of one of these articles. And what it says here is, exclusive: Prime Minister reveals radical plan to force 18-year-olds to serve in the military for 12 months or give up weekends to carry out civil duties. Sweden, Norway, France, and Denmark reintroduced national service recently. And I mean, if you're paying attention, then you pretty much understand why it is that now of all times, they're now bringing all these things back. If they didn't see the threat of war as a real threat, there would be no need for this. Because like I mentioned, why now of all times? Because they see that things are heating up, and this time it's not gonna slow down, it's not gonna be diverted. It's inevitable, and now we're at the end of that. The next one says, are you ready for a crisis? Government says stock up for 3 days. Britain's deputy PM is launching the Prepare campaign for scenarios that could include natural disaster, another demic, or nuclear war. Interesting. The most common risk is localized flooding, according to the government's risk register, leading to power and water outages. But among the 100 other potential threats, people should be prepared for include another demic, a mass cyber attack that cuts off the internet, disruption to UK space systems that affect GPS signals, or, in an extreme case, could include conflict or even the potential for a nuclear attack in continental Europe. So now you're reading this and you're like, these are the threats that you are facing today. Like, these are the possibilities that they're telling you about. These are not conspiracy theories. These are not, I mean, and if you go back years, you'll find out, like, starting with our elders and apostles on down, we were telling you about these things. But when we mentioned it, it sounded so crazy. Oh, you guys are out your mind. Oh. But now the officials themselves are sounding the same alarms from a different perspective. But what's even crazier is even now, you still have people that are, it's just like, and it's not like they don't know. Some of them actually know, they've heard about it, but to them, it's that spiritual blindness that they feel no sense of urgency. They feel like, you know what, it is what it is. We'll just see, because they still haven't yet grasped the reality of these words. But they're not gonna grasp the reality. The reality is gonna grasp them, with a firm grip. You will note that the British public are being placed on a war footing. This is the psychological preparation for a mass chaos event. And the mention of cyber attack, this isn't the first time. Okay? They keep on mentioning this. They keep on mentioning this. Similar to how prior to the CV, they were mentioning that something is coming. Something is coming. It's gonna be bad. The world is not prepared. Something is coming. And then for years, and then boom, something came. And now they're talking about potential for a cyber attack that could take down the internet. It could take down the grid. They had the movie Leave the World Behind. So they're showing you, they're putting it right in your face to say, hey, slowly but surely desensitize your mind and know that this is a real possibility. So when we bring this to pass, it's not like something is something unexpected. And then they could turn around and play the game of, hey, this is what we were warning about for so long. And of course, they're going to have the so-called solution for that. Anyway, I've been telling you for ages that the bankers need to eliminate the debt. And I've also pointed out, all right. And I've also pointed out that historical examples highlight the risks of the elites losing control of the populace in such situations, and in some instances, their heads too. So you can see why it is that they have to move. Because even history, at the end of the day, these elites are not invincible, right? They're still men, but the Most High is guiding them to move in a way that can bring about prophecy, all right? But as it says here, they are very well aware how if they don't play their cards right, this could really, really turn back on them. And it will, even if they do play their cards right. So carrying on, it says they know this, and as such have prepared for a means to control what will be millions of impoverished, you will own nothing, and very angry, and be happy, citizens. This control mechanism has many facets: hate speech, search and seizure laws, demic treaties, CBDCs, and attendant authoritarian control measures, including lockdowns, quarantining citizens, and forced, how to say this politely, medical procedures. This big daddy, of course, or the big daddy, of course, is CBDCs. See, so these are things that people are aware that these elites are coming forth with. They're trying to implement. And now you got to think about it. So if now the in the beginning it was about deception, but now people are waking up to what their plans are, they're gonna need to do something, right? Because now somebody's aware of what you're trying to do, and you try to do it. They're not, and especially if they're not down with it, they're not gonna be willing to be fooled by you. So what do you think they're gonna need to do? Where these are implemented, then resistance is quickly squashed. It's tough to mount a protest when you can't get on a bus, fill up your car to drive to said protest, or even complain online on social media. If the quote unquote hate speech laws don't get you, the shutting off of your access to the internet and banking system surely will. That is the level of control that they're gonna gain with this. But they don't put it as that. They don't put the perspective as that. They put it as all other means, to make it seem like, oh, this is good, this is not bad, all of these things. But really, this is all about control. Okay. When talking about the conscription, many people will say, oh, but the populace doesn't have a stomach for it. The problem is that you could have made the same argument in 1939. But guess what? It happened anyway. And it's not only Britain, it's Denmark too. Danes told to stockpile water, food, anti-radiation iodine pills for possible Russian crisis. You hear this? And the word being used here is what? Possible. Okay? Possible Russian crisis. So this is not some far-fetched conspiracy theory, random thing. This is a possibility, a very real possibility at that. In fact, it's prophecy. So it's not just a possibility. This is soon to be reality. Denmark and our allies are threatened by hybrid war, Defense Minister Troels Lund Poulsen said. The reality is that Denmark and our allies are threatened by hybrid war. Defense Minister Troels Lund Poulsen said during a speech in the town of Allinge. Each of us should prepare for the fact that for a short period we may be without access to electricity or water or be unable to buy basic necessities. And that's when reality sets in, right? That's when people start looking at the world differently. Because now struggle has set in. Now panic is setting in. Now people are actually, in hard times. And that's when you see how useless people are. Most of the people. When you watch the movie Leave the World Behind, the guy literally said that. His only use was just that he had money. And so when he tried to bargain with the other guy, the neighbor, and the neighbor wasn't hearing it, he told him straight up. He said he's a useless man. You think people are gonna want to be around useless people in that time? Because what are you just gonna do? You're just gonna eat your extra space. You got to be protected. So if you don't have a use, why are you gonna be there? Why are people gonna want to be around you? And people are gonna experience some real hard times, man. You think people are cold now? You think people don't care now? What do you think is going to be the case with this selfish? America breeds selfish, individualist people, and so when it comes down to their life on the line, this guy right here, you telling him, look, you got mass space, maybe just move up a little bit so I could park behind you, and he's like, nah, I ain't doing that shit. So if a dude won't even do that for you, you think they're gonna risk some life saving, benefits or food or whatever for you? You're gonna see just how cruel the world can be. Then, over in the land of the free, the same agenda is being rolled out. Military draft coming. House passes measure to automatically register men for selective service. The House of Representatives on Friday approved its version of the annual defense policy bill, effectively clearing the $883.7 billion National Defense Authorization Act, or the NDAA, to move forward in a 217-199 vote, which largely fell along party lines. A number of controversial amendments are part of it, setting up a further fight with Democrats as it moves forward, including a measure empowering the National Guard to crack down on the southern border. But the most interesting aspects in the bill for fiscal year 2025 is an amendment to the NDAA, which automatically registers all draft-age male U.S. residents with the Selective Service System. Oh man, it's going to get real quick. Propaganda works best when those who are being manipulated are confident they are acting on their own free will. That was by Joseph Goebbels, if I pronounce that right. So, in a nutshell, you can already see what's going on here. But what's interesting is who this is coming from. Like now, you can actually speak to some people, not everybody, But some people today, and they're aware to some degree of as to what's going on. Why? Because of all these alternative media websites that are putting out all this information and exposing all of these things. And so more and more people are hearing about it. But the problem is, hearing and knowing alone is not enough. Hearing and knowing about it is not going to get you delivered. Hearing and knowing about it is not going to feed you in a famine. You gotta have Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai with you. That's the most important part. But once again, not everybody is going to do that. Some people, they're going to hear it, they're going to hear about it, they're going to become aware, and then they're going to try to find their own way, which they in essence they're going to either trust in themselves or they're going to trust in man, to think that that is the most secure way for them, and that's where they're going to go wrong. Now, real quick, I want to bring this out. This is in the book of Isaiah, chapter 10, verse 3, and just applying it here, right? Because really it's ultimately talking about Esau, right? When you read from the first verse on down, because they're the ones who are turning the needy aside from judgment, and doing all these things with their legislations and all of that. However, verse 3 here, okay, applying it in the sense of just generally to the people of this world who are not seeking the Lord, when this destruction comes, right? Isaiah 10 and 3, and what will ye do in the day of visitation, and in the desolation which shall come from far? Because ultimately the Most High is going to visit this place, and he's already visiting this place now, all right, by breaking it down systematically, and bringing up these like Yahweh Shai described it, the beginning of sorrows. Okay. However, that ultimate desolation, right, the desolation that shall come from far is those missiles, because the scriptures tell you they're going to be shot from one end of the earth into the other, and they're going to do exactly as the term says. They're going to destroy. So what are you going to do when that time comes? You're sitting here hearing about articles, watching news clips, and being told that nuclear war is a very real possibility, that you should be stocking up on 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever many days worth of food, because there might be a cyber attack. You might lose internet. You might lose phone connection. You might lose electricity. You can't get basic necessities. These are the things that your officials are warning you about. To whom will ye flee for help? And where will ye leave your glory? And that's the part right there, because now we're warning people now, and the nerve for some people now, even now, with all these things happening, to still come and try to act as though we are you guys are this, you guys are that, you guys are this. I mean, if you just take a look around the world, you have bigger problems to worry about than to try and come and scoff at what we're telling you. But that's okay, because the scriptures say that just like in the time of Noah, they're gonna, in a nutshell, they're gonna continue on in their their ignorance state until this thing hits them, until reality breaks through that artificial reality of theirs and shows them what the real deal is. And when they lift up their head and they see what's going on around them, yeah, it's gonna be over then. The scriptures say, right, they're gonna consider it perfectly in that time. Anyway, with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying and informative to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.